Okay, y'all, Editor Joe here. Before this video gets started, I just want to preface by saying that I am painfully aware of the poor film quality of this video. This is what you get when you try to use natural lighting and not your own lighting. Yeah, it's not so great, but I hope that you'll stick with it. I promise that I will get it better next time. Anyway, to the video. Oh, hey, and welcome back to my channel. Kids, I have to start off by saying, I'm so sorry that it's been so long since I made a video. I think it has been, what? I think it's been 6 months since I've made a video. Yeah, guys, I apologize so much for that. But my life has been a little bit crazy. So I figured that today I can give y'all a bit of a life update. Obviously, there's a little bit of an update around me right now. So I can give you a little bit of a life update. Plus also, while I was away, my website, bluewizardfood.com, was still active. And I noticed one recipe in particular seemed to be a fan favorite while I was gone. So I am going to be sharing that recipe with you today on the Blue Wizard Bakes. So as I mentioned, while I'm giving you guys a little bit of a life update today, I'm going to be sharing with you one of the fan favorite recipes from my website in the past 6 months, and that is my crispy coconut cookies. These crispy coconut cookies have a delicious crispy exterior with a wonderful chewy interior and pack a huge punch of coconut flavor with a little bit of a tropical twist hidden in there as well. So without further ado, let's make some magic. Perfect. Now, of course, as usual, though it pains me to do it because it is currently 90 degrees outside my house, we have to start by preheating our oven. So I'm going to be preheating my oven to 350 degrees. In addition, I of course have all of my ingredients here in their place, so this way I have everything I need, where I need it, and when I need it. I'm going to start off with the dry ingredients in this recipe. So in this medium to small bowl, I have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, and to that I'm going to be adding 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So, where have I been the last 6 months? Well, to start with, I moved, which you guys knew about before. My last couple of videos I mentioned that I had been moving. And so the house that I moved into was actually my grandparents' old house. Last year, my grandfather passed away. In fact, I did a recipe in his honor, which was my cherry pie recipe, because cherry pie was his favorite dessert. Basically, my grandmother decided that she could no longer take care of the house. And so, as a result, I bought the house from her, which was fortuitous for me because this house has always been my dream house. Ever since my grandparents moved into it, I've always wanted to live here. So I was really honored and privileged that she basically sold the house to me. But that process was very long because I had to sell my place, and then I had to buy this place, and then we had to move my grandmother out. I mean, she lived in this house for 27 years. You build up a lot of stuff. And so trying to sort of downsize her to a smaller place, you know, that was a lot of work, plus then also moving all of my stuff in. And it was, like I said, it takes a lot of time. Any of you who have ever moved to a new house before know that it can be a lot of work. So anyway, I just whisked all of those dry ingredients together. So I'm gonna move these to the side and start on our wet ingredients. So anyway, that process took a lot of my time and a lot of my grandmother's time. And so we were doing a lot of work, and so basically there just really wasn't a lot of time for me to be making videos. But the good news is that I'm all moved in now, and my grandmother is moved into her new place, and we're both thriving and surviving and doing all kinds of great things. And so now I'm finally able to have a little bit of time to work on a video. So anyway, on to the wet ingredients. Inside of this large bowl, I have 1.5 sticks of butter, and to that I'm going to be adding 1 cup of sugar and 1/4 cup of light brown sugar, and then blending that up with my mixer until it is light and fluffy. Got a stubborn piece of brown sugar here. I'm just going to crumble that up with my fingers. Don't worry, they're clean. All right, so now that that is creamed together and nice and light and fluffy, we can add in our other wet ingredients. I'm going to add in 1 egg. It's a large egg. 1 teaspoon of coconut extract. Even though these cookies are gonna have a ton of coconut, like actual coconut in it, I found that I really still wanted a little bit more flavor punch from the coconut. So that's why we add the coconut extract, but don't add too much. And then the last thing we're gonna add is 2 limes worth of lime zest. When I was writing this recipe, the coconut was great, but I felt like you needed some other flavor in there to sort of pack a little bit more of a punch. So turned out lime was the perfect thing. So I'm just going to go and blend those together. And then we're gonna take our dry ingredients and mix those in with the wet. And blend that together one more time. And of course, we have to make sure to scrape the sides of our bowl. Make sure everything gets incorporated. Perfect. And now we add in the last ingredient by hand. And that last ingredient, of course, is coconut. So I have here measured out 2.5 cups of unsweetened shredded coconut. Needs to be unsweetened. The sweetened stuff has a lot of sugar in it, kids. And of course, we've already added sugar into our cookies. So don't use the sweetened stuff. It'll be like, you know, eating pure sugar in the cookies. So you wanna make sure to find unsweetened coconut. And I'm just gonna mix that together, and I'm doing it by hand because I don't wanna overbeat the batter. If you have to use a mixer, go ahead and do it. But like I said, I prefer to do this part by hand. So anyway, where else have I been? So I haven't obviously been moving for 6 months, but I will say, kids, those of you who have watched my video where I talk a little bit more about me outside of YouTube, know that I do not do this full time, that my full-time job is that I am a high school science teacher. And I have to say, kids, find your teacher friends, ask them if they're okay, because chances are the answer is going to be no. This year in education has been wild, and I have had conversations with educators across the nation at this point, and it's kind of crummy everywhere for teachers. Yeah, like I said, I don't want to get into too much detail about, you know, what's going on or the things that are going on in public education these days, but it's been a wild school year coming off of COVID and the pandemic and everything like that, and trying to find some sort of semblance of normalcy, plus also, you know, getting inundated with a lot of like new stuff on top of that, you know, and new problems that teachers have never had to face before, or we had to face before, but it just wasn't as bad. I mean, there's a lot of people who are leaving the profession, which is evidenced by the fact that there's a big teacher shortage. So anyway, being a teacher, this year has really kind of added a lot of stress into my life. And so it's kind of hard at the end of the day when I get home to sort of think about making a video. But to that end, I do have another announcement in a life update, and that is that I got a new job. So I am still a teacher though, so I did not leave education altogether, but I am at a different school now. And so I'll tell you more about that while I get to the next step of this. So anyway, the dough is completely mixed at this point, so you can see it's completely blended together. All the coconut is mixed in, as well as all the other ingredients. But now what we need to do, of course, is form the cookies. And to do that, I am going to be using a cookie scoop. And the amount is not as important as the size. So I'm going to be making balls that are about 1 inch in diameter. In other words, 1 inch thick. And so I'm gonna be putting those out onto cookie sheets. So, by the way, I need to grab the cookie sheets, they're back here. My kitchen is so much bigger than it used to be. Which of course is a good thing. So like I said, I'm gonna be using this 1 inch cookie scoop in order to scoop out my little cookie dough balls. So anyway, I got a new job. I actually was not looking for a new job, but I was fortunate enough to get a call from the high school that I actually went to as a student when I was in high school. And it turns out that the teacher who taught me, and is one of the main reasons why I became a science teacher in the first place, She is retiring, and they called me and asked if I would want to take her place. It was a long and hard and difficult decision, but ultimately I decided it was the best thing to do, and it was the best thing for me. It's where the Lord was leading me to go. So that's what I did. So I am going now to a new school for next year, which I'm very excited about. And I'm gonna be teaching some new classes to me that I'm really, really pumped about. And I am going to get back in high school, I was pretty heavily involved in theater. And I'm going to be getting back to theater because they asked me to direct the spring play. So I'm gonna be getting back to that as well. So I know what you're probably thinking. You were just talking about how busy you were and that you didn't have time to make videos, and now you're committing to all this other stuff. Yeah, I know. I'm a little bit wackadoodle that way. But I'm hoping that I'm still going to be able to find time to commit to making videos on YouTube and releasing recipes. At the very least, releasing recipes through my website and through my social media, which again, I know I haven't been the most active on, but I promise I'm going to get back to that coming up. So I'm spacing these out on the pan, and I want to get about 12 cookies per pan. I can smell the coconut and the lime already in the dough. It's coming in strong, kids. I'm excited. All right, so I have my cookie dough balls scooped out, and I have some extra dough, so that'll go into the sort of the remainder. But before we put these in the oven, there's just one more step, and that is I want to sort of gently press them and flatten them down on the cookie sheet. Doesn't have to be like completely flat. You just want to sort of make them into more of a disc rather than a ball. The cookies will, of course, flatten out more in the oven as they bake. Kids, make sure you read your recipes thoroughly. It's been a long time since I made these cookies, and I'm looking at the recipe, and it turns out I do not have them spaced out well enough. It should be 12 cookies for 2 pans. In other words, 6 cookies to a pan total. So I have way too many cookies on here, but that's okay because I have extra cookie balls now. So I'm gonna space these out on the pan, 6 to a pan total, because this is what made me double check. These cookies are gonna be a little bit wider, and we wanna give them room to groove. So I'm spacing them out like that. All right, perfect, those are done. So now these are gonna go into my 350-degree oven. I'm gonna put them on the upper middle and lower middle racks of the oven. I'm going to bake these for about 13 to 15 minutes until the cookies are lightly browned around the exterior. So while those are baking and I'm rolling out the rest of these cookies, I just wanted to take this time to remind you that, of course, you can help me out a lot by hitting the subscribe button down below, as well as the like button. If you liked this recipe and you want to see others like it, definitely hit that like button, because that lets me know that you want to see more recipes just like this one. Of course, as I'm coming back to YouTube, I just want to remind you as well that if you liked this recipe, I would also appreciate it if you would share it on social media in some way, shape, or form, sort of to get the word out and help my channel to grow. My channel, thank goodness, did not shrink at all while I was away, and I didn't really lose any subscribers. In fact, I gained a couple of subscribers, which is nice, and I've been having some consistent views. So I know that I'm producing at least content that people have enjoyed watching, and I'm hoping you guys could share that out with some of your friends and family so that my channel can grow even bigger than it is today. And I promise to try to not ever have 6 months in between uploads. Now, in terms of what's coming up on my channel, I have lots of other recipes and stuff that I've been developing in the time and things that I want to release. And just a little note out there to my cousin Eric, who has been asking for a particular recipe for a really long time. He's been asking for the recipe to my grandmother's gołąbki, which, for those of you who are not Polish and don't know, gołąbki is the Polish version of a cabbage roll. So I promise the next video that I upload, which hopefully should be on, this is on June 30th, so the one that I upload should be on July 15th, the day before my birthday. On July 15th, that video should be for my grandmother's recipe for cabbage rolls, in other words, gołąbki. So look out for that video coming up. Guys, if you are interested in trying this recipe for yourself, you can always find all of my written recipes at bluewizardfood.com. And it's not just the recipes that I make on my channel, it's also other recipes that I happen to upload there. For instance, this recipe has been on my website for ages, and I'm only making a video about it now, so you should definitely check there every once in a while to see if I have a new recipe posted, even if you don't see a new video. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I will start, again, I promise to be active active on both my Facebook page and Instagram. You can find me there at both places at Joe the Blue Whiz. All right, well, I'm gonna clean up a little bit and shift the cookies in and out of the oven and get them baked, and I will be back here to taste them with you when they are done. As the cookies come out of the oven, you're going to want to let them cool on the pan for at least 1 minute before removing them from the pan and letting them cool completely on a wire rack. Well, there you have it, kids, my recipe for crispy coconut cookies. Let's take a taste. I don't know if you could hear that in the microphone, but it definitely brings on the crispy. But they're not crunchy. They still have a nice chewy interior. I definitely get the coconut flavor and the lime flavor. They smell fantastic, they taste fantastic. If there was a cookie that was designed for the summer, this is it. Just fantastic. Well, kids, that's all that we have time for here today on the Blue Wizard Bakes. Remember, you don't have to be a professional chef or even a wizard in order to make magic in the kitchen. I think I'm gonna have another one of these. Bye now.